this bigger. All right. So, all right. So if you're seeing my screen, I've snipped in the first question here.
Mm-hmm.
You're given two functions, f of x and g of x. And then the first question asks you to find f plus g parentheses 3. Any idea what this notation means?
She explained it a little bit, kind of forgot. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
it's
called.
written oddly. I don't know why it's written this way. This is just the way math books do it. But it really means f of 3 plus g of 3. Like this is the notation, but this is what you actually do.
Okay.
It's weird, but that's what it is. So we're going to start with f of x. Okay, so f of
Mm-hmm.
x is x squared minus 8x. Now, one of the things you want to get in the habit of doing is the reason is you're going to substitute whatever number in for x, but if you do it parentheses, you will not have sign errors.
Okay.
Okay, so it doesn't affect positive numbers, but it definitely affects negative numbers. Notice all I did there is put the number in for x,
Okay.
number
Yeah,
in
that
for
makes
x
sense.
like
Yeah.
that. Okay. Now, are you allowed to use a calculator? Is this by
Yes, we're
hand?
allowed to use
Now,
calculator.
what kind of calculator are you allowed to use in this class?
The T80s
Okay, and do you
plus.
have one available to you?
I do have one.
Okay, I always recommend you use whatever tool they're allowing you to use when you're doing your stuff. I know you're on your phone. I know there's
Hmm.
internet ones, right? It's better to use the tool. I don't know if you played sports growing up, but you always practice the way you
Yeah.
play games.
Hmm.
That's important here. So can you go ahead and calculate this stuff for me, please?
Yeah. So 3 squared uh, minus 8. I got -15.
Okay, very good. All right. So that's the answer to part A.
Okay.
Let's keep going here. Part B is
Oh
similar
yeah.
notation.
My bad, didn't mean to interrupt you. So she likes to show, like, we can use calculators, but she likes to show the steps. She's like wants to see
Yeah, we
everything. That makes
we are
sense.
showing steps here. Now you could maybe make the argument that you should add one more step here. Uh,
Okay.
you we're this is showing your work.
Yeah, that's
Now,
what
do you
she
have to turn
likes.
in the writ? You have to turn in the written part?
No, just for like tests and stuff. She's like, I want to see all
Yeah,
the works and all the steps. She doesn't like skipping steps for some reason.
yeah. So college is a game. You want the grade, you play the game, you give them what they want. If they want
Hmm.
work, you give them work. All right. So this notation is f of 3 minus g of 3.
F of 3 minus G of
Oh, you
3.
know what? I'm sorry. I did not finish this problem. I'm
Okay.
jumping way too far ahead. Sorry.
Are you all good?
Got distracted. So all we have done here, this is just f of 3. F of 3 is minus 15. Now we need to find g of 3.
Yeah, G of 3.
And so g of x is x plus 6. Again, I really recommend you put that variable in parentheses. So g of 3 means to put 3 in for x.
Okay.
3 plus 6 is 9. So your problem here is f of 3 plus g of 3. Well, f of 3 is minus 15. Color code that. Your f of 3 is minus 15. Your g of 3 is this 9. So you want to combine those together. Okay, minus 15 plus 9 is minus 6, like that.
Equals. Yeah. So you, F of 7. Okay.
Okay, so that is part A. I apologize for not making that clear. We had to do both of them. All right, so part B, really similar here. This ends up being f of 3 minus g of 3.
F of 3
Now we
minus.
already have f of 3. Like we already calculated that from the previous problem. F of
Okay.
3 is minus 15. So, maybe on a test, I don't know. It just you would maybe want to show something different here because it's an assignment. We can just go back and grab the numbers. G of 3 is 9. G of 3
Hmm.
is 9. So we just go and grab them. Minus 15 minus 9 is minus 24.
Okay, so you're just plugging it in and then adding them when you get both of them?
Yes. Because they didn't change. Like if this number changed to like a 4 or a 2 or something else, we'd have to redo the calculations.
Okay.
And we're building up to composition. Nothing we've done so far is composition, but
Mhm.
we're getting there. All right, so part C. Part C is, and again, it looks odd. It's like the letters are squeezed together. There's this
Mhm.
number off to the side. So what does this mean? It means f of 3 times g of 3.
Times G.
So when it's squeezed together, that's multiplication. When there's a subtraction, it's subtraction. When it's addition, it's addition. So f of 3 is minus 15. G of 3 is 9. So you're going to multiply those together there.
15 times 9.
Always good to double check me. I do make mistakes, and I
Like,
don't want you to miss out. All right. Any questions on that before we go to D?
no, it just seems like you're just plugging in. You just once you find the G and F, you just use them.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. So f of 3 again is minus 15. G of 3 is 9. This reduces. Now, if you have a TI 8384 calculator, you can hit math, enter, enter, and that will convert this to a fraction.
Okay.
You should get minus 5 over 3 as
Let
your
me see if I
reduced
can get
form.
negative 15 divided by 9. Math enter. Yep, I got negative 3 over 5.
Negative 5 over 3.
I mean, sorry, yeah, negative 5
Yeah.
over
So since you've got this up, I mean, I recommend checking your answers as we go. In case there's a
3.
mistake, we can go back and fix it real quick rather than waiting until, you get off the lesson. You're like, oh no, I didn't get them right. And
Mm-hmm.
so let me know if there's any issues with that. Otherwise,
Okay.
we'll move to question 2.
So that's all question 1. Okay, that's not too bad.
Right. Let me know when you're ready for us to move on to
I'm
question 2.
ready.
Okay, so kind of the same notation in f plus g of negative 4. What this means is find f of negative 4, g of negative 4 like that, add them together, and see what you come up with. So we've got to now go back to our functions and figure out, well, what is it? What is the value of these? So let's start with f of x. F of x is parentheses x minus 7 squared. F of negative 4 means to put negative 4 in
For the
for
X.
x.
Okay.
So it's negative 4 minus 7 squared like that. All right. It's really important that you don't try to like do too much in any one step. Like later
Okay.
on you can, but just, slow and steady here. You know, put this in your calculator exactly the way it's written and you will get the correct answer.
Negative 4 minus 7
And I'll be right back in 10 seconds.
2, which is what? That does not seem right.
I am back. Do you have a result here for me?
Yeah, just um I don't know why it's not negative 4 minus 7 squared. I got 121.
121, perfect. Okay, so that's the f of negative 4. F of negative 4 is 121.
Okay,
Now we have to find g of negative 4. Okay, so g of
gotcha.
x, we got to go back now to the original. It's 1 minus 5x. And I've mentioned this a couple of times. You really want to treat that variable like it's in parentheses.
Okay.
So when you calculate g of negative 4, you're not making any weird sign errors. You are multiplying these numbers together, then you're subtracting here. Do you want to go ahead and calculate this
Yeah,
for
so
us, please?
1 minus 5 That's -4 is 21.
Okay. All right, so that's a great start. So we have f of -4, 121. G of -4 is 21. You're adding them together, 142.
So then we add together. And all right, 142.
So the rest on this, B, C, D, and E, or B, C, and D, they're the same as what we've been before. You need the f of -4, G of -4 to be able to do that. So it's essentially the same as the previous problems. Let me snip B in here. We'll be able to go through these relatively quickly. B means f of -4 minus G of -4, which is 121 minus 21, which is 100.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they work out nicely, sometimes they don't. Don't take too much stock in how your answer looks, especially with these online systems.
Mm-hmm.
F FG squeezed together, that's f of -4 times G of -4, 121 times 21.
Times 21. Times 21, which is 2021.
2,541, like that. And then the last one there, dividing, get my snipping tool. All right, there it is. Part D is
Just subtractions.
division here, f of -4 over g of -4. Just make sure you get them in the right order. 121 over 21. I don't think this reduces. I think 121 is a prime number. Yeah, this is the final answer, 121. All right, any questions that before we move on to
No.
next one here? All right, so look at number 3 here. But and just real quick, the try out lesson, it will go to about 11:55, and I'll talk a little bit about scheduling and stuff. But
All right.
you can see kind of the pace that we're going at. We can go, faster or slower, just depends on what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some students will just, hey, let's just, run through it as fast as we can. Some are like, I really need to work these out. I can always give you problems like this as
Mm-hmm.
well. Okay. In a Northwest Washington County, the speeding fines are determined by the formula f of s equals 15, parentheses s minus 50 plus 45, where f of s is the cost in dollars of the fine if a person is caught driving at a speed of s miles per hour. If a fine comes out to a total of $285, how fast in miles per hour was the person driving? So what you have to decide, is this f of s or is this s?
Okay.
And the way to determine that is to look at what f of s is. It's the cost in dollars. S is the miles per hour.
So that's the
So
whole
which
cost.
that's
So it's
f
gonna
of
be
s.
the f of s.
Yep. So you're setting
Plug
the
in
whole equation equal to this
285
right here.
equals 15. It's 50 plus 45.
Now, in terms of how you solve this, you undo addition and subtraction before multiplication and division. So you're going to subtract 45 from both sides.
45. That's
240 equals 15, s minus 50.
eight.
Now from here, you have some options. You can either distribute the 15 in, or you can divide by 15.
Okay.
And I don't know what you do. That's where you got to decide how you want to work through this.
Probably just distributing's easier, probably.
Okay. So that's 15s minus 750.
15
And then from
s
here, you add 750 to both sides.
240 plus 750 plus 750. That cancels 240.
And so you end up getting s equals 66 as your final answer.
Yeah, and then you divide it. 266. Yes. So then do you have to plug that S into there now?
That is the answer.
Oh, that is the answer. Okay.
That is the answer. That's what's saying for 66 miles per hour. Must be, I don't know. Well, it looks like it's a 50-mile-per-hour zone. I don't know. I haven't had a speeding ticket in a while, so I don't know if this is even reasonable or not. Um, okay. Any questions, thoughts on that?
No, that's pretty easy. You just have, it's not too
All
bad.
right. So we'll do this. We can only do part A just because we are running out of time.
Hmm.
But this is the composition. This is finally the composition, and we'll definitely have to spend more time on this to really get it down. But to do this problem, there's two things that you're seeing here. There's this F, and then there's this G of 0. So you start by doing G of 0. So to calculate G of 0, you always start with the inside one first. Your G of X is 3 minus X squared. As I mentioned a couple times, a really good idea to put that variable in parentheses.
Okay.
So G of 0 is 3 minus parentheses 0 squared, which ends up being 3 minus 0, which is 3. So this G of 0, like F of G of 0, the G of 0 is replaced by the 3. Like everything, and this is what's hard about composition, you have to realize that you're replacing G of 0 with 3. So this really becomes F of 3. Okay, because G of 0 is 3. So the output of the first becomes the
Input.
input of the other. F of X is 4x minus 4. So to find F of 3, you're putting 3 in for X. 12 minus 4 is 8, like that.
F3 equals 4 times.
So go ahead and get that down. Part B is the flip of it, which we don't have time for, unfortunately. I've got someone here at 12, and we do have to stop here. So go ahead and stop the recording.